Today, we are diving into a really fascinating link between a modern health trend and, well, a huge global challenge. It's a connection you've probably never thought about before, and it all starts with a pretty surprising discovery in the fight against climate change. So our source for this explainer kicks things off with a recent finding that's been making some serious waves. It's a totally unexpected angle on climate change, and it suggests that a really personal choice, losing weight, could actually have a global impact. Kind of wild, right? And here it is, the quote that really gets the ball rolling, from the New York Times. Turns out, the rise of these new weight loss drugs isn't just a health story. Nope, it's an economic and environmental story, especially for the airline industry. I mean, who would have thought? $500 million a year. That is a staggering amount of money for airlines to save, and it's all coming from a collective change in how much passengers weigh. But honestly, the money isn't even the most interesting part. It's what those savings really represent. That $500 million in savings? Well, it translates to 250 million gallons of jet fuel. According to the study, that's 250 million gallons of fuel that just won't be burned. It won't be pumped into the atmosphere every year. So you can see how a financial win for the airlines turns directly into a massive reduction in emissions. Okay, so how in the world does this actually work? To really get it, we need to zoom out from just talking about airplanes and look at the basic physics that's behind this whole thing. At its core, it all comes down to a fundamental law of physics. It really is that simple. It doesn't matter what you're moving, a person, a box, a car. The heavier it is, the more energy you're going to need to get it from point A to point B. It's just inescapable. And here's a perfect example from our daily lives. The source points out that just adding an extra 100 pounds to your car makes it burn up to 2% more fuel. And if you're going uphill, that number jumps to a whopping 8%. It just goes to show how even a small change in weight has a real, measurable effect. And this isn't just about modern engines, not at all. The source makes it really clear this rule applies to everything that moves. We're talking planes, gas cars, even EVs, which lose range. But it also applies to trains and, get this, even horse-drawn carriages and rickshaws. The engine, whether it's gas or a horse, just needs more fuel or food. The rule is always the same. More weight means more consumption.
And that word right there, consumption, that's the key to all of this. The source argues that body weight is really just a stand-in for something more fundamental. So let's connect the dots, from something as personal as your appetite all the way to global emissions.
So how do these new drugs actually do their thing? Well, our source explains that these GLP-1 agonists basically copy a hormone that tells your brain you're full. They slow down how fast your stomach empties and just dial down your appetite and cravings. The result is pretty straightforward. People end up eating less. They consume less. And this slide just lays out that whole chain reaction perfectly. Step 1, the drug suppresses your appetite. Step 2, that leads you to consume less food. Step 3, your body mass goes down. And step 4, it takes less energy to move your body around. It's a direct line from appetite all the way to energy use. To really drive the point home, the source then flips the whole argument on its head. See, it's not just that losing weight helps the environment. It's that the huge amount of consumption it takes to gain and maintain extra weight in the first place is also part of the problem. It's like two sides of the very same coin. Okay, now this is where things take a really interesting turn. Our source pivots from this super modern, high-tech solution to a much, much older practice that, it argues, can get you to a pretty similar result. So you've got these two different paths to the exact same goal, consuming less. On one hand, you have the modern, medical approach, using a drug to turn down the volume on your appetite. On the other, you have this ancient, behavioral approach, using the discipline of fasting to consciously choose to consume less. Now, it's really important to get what the source means by fasting here. It's not talking about the latest diet trends you see online, like intermittent fasting or going vegan. It's talking about a very specific traditional practice, not eating at all on certain days until the evening and then having just one simple meal. And according to the source, the benefits of doing this are pretty widespread. It's framed as a win for your health, obviously. That, in turn, leads to you using less fuel in your car. Then there's the idea that the money you save on food can be given to those in need. And of course, it's all presented as a clear win for the environment. So this brings us to the final, really big idea from our source. It takes this ancient concept of self-denial and reframes it as a potential modern, personal answer to a massive global problem. And here's the bottom line. The source is very clear that the main reason for religious fasting
isn't to save the planet. But, and this is the key, it suggests that for people today who are worried about climate change, adopting a more ascetical lifestyle, one that's just focused on consuming less, could be a really powerful and personal way to take action.
And that's the final question the source leaves us with. It's a question that directly connects our most personal, everyday choices about what we consume to our biggest collective challenges. It's a pretty fascinating link, right? Between the ancient and the modern, the personal and the global. Thanks for tuning in.